All right, welcome back to the Shack and First Down Buffalo pregame show, joined once again by Bills Hall of Fame running back, Thurman Thomas. Thurman, great to see you, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm great. Second season, back-to-back AFC East Division champs. First time since 95 that the Bills have done this. It's super exciting. And we're going to get to a lot about, obviously, the Bills. But before we do, listen, when the show runs every week, there's always a commercial with you and Dr. Todd Shack next to him. So tell the folks what they did to make that beautiful smile as beautiful as it is, Thurm.
Oh man, they did a lot, man. I tell you, my kids have been with, been to with Dr. Shackins, and my wife has, and I just decided that it's time for a different look, and hey, he did a great job on it. I enjoyed. My family really enjoys it though. They really enjoy it. They really enjoy it now to see me smile, and it's been outstanding.
Very good. Okay. So let's now get to football, which is the real reason why you're here.
Absolutely.
So let's start here. So for the offense, knowing that you have the number one scoring defense on your side, right?
Right.
Does that give them, the offense, a little bit more confidence to maybe try out a couple of different things, or know that if they're not perfect and if they have some lulls in some games, their defense is going to keep them in. So even later in the games, like they've done over the last couple of weeks, they can still come back and still win?
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely gives the opportunity to, I guess you can say, take more chances. Down the field, maybe you looked at some of the season how it went up and down. We struggled on offense here and there. Josh one game threw 3 interceptions, and came back to throw 3 more and run for 2 or whatever. So I think knowing that you have that defense that can stop them at any time. Because if you're the Patriots, you're gonna probably go for a lot of fourth down. That's just Bill Belichick and his ways, these things. But you have that on the defensive side, man. I guarantee you, man, those offensive players, like, you know what, we can take a little bit more chance because our defense has been great, really, all year long. No matter who they play. I mean, they think they're ranked number one in 5 different categories. So I mean, you have an opportunity to get that motto that they always say about defense wins championships, where that you have a real defensive unit and guys that didn't make the Pro Bowl. So they obviously are pissed off about that right there. So I think for the offense, it bodes well for them to have to try more opportunities.
This has been a really crazy season for the Bills. I saw a stat somewhere where if the games decided by a score that they lost were flipped, they'd be 16-1. I mean, that's pretty amazing. So they lost. Their only bad loss, obviously, was the Colts game when Taylor went crazy. The other ones were one possession losses or one score losses, and then all the other wins. And this is unbelievable. And you guys didn't even do this in your heyday. All 11 of their wins have come by 12 or more points. I mean, that is unbelievable.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I mean, just to see, we've been in, and really when you look at all that, they've been in a couple of bad weather football games this year and still have been able to close that gap. And I see that's why, it's so important for our offense to get off to a great start. You get off to a great start, whether it's 10 points in the first quarter or 14, but like that first drive, I think as Bills fans and former players, sometimes we don't know where we're going. I mean, they can get that first drive and go right down the field, score a touchdown, or they can go 1, 2, 3 and punt, and Josh is throwing the ball all over the place. It's not even close to the wide receiver. So when you have that train and that mindset, man, it is outstanding to have a good offense, a good defense, and a good special team play also.
So obviously your expertise is as a running back. As Singletary's really come on in the last couple of weeks. I know, a lot of people have pointed out to the fact that they've actually had a sort of a regular front five when Bates came in the first it would have been the second New England game when Butker went out and he had to flip over or whatever. But Bates came in, did a nice job, and he's been in the lineup ever since. So how much does offensive line continuity have to do with it? How much does it have to do with the fact that they're being more consistent with giving Devin the ball and actually letting Motor make plays on his own? I mean, how much of that plays into why the running game has been so much better?
I think that plays a big role into it. I mean, especially late in the year, we're still in the playoff race. You're still in the hunt or what have you. But to have those guys play, 3, 4, 5 games in a row together, and the offense has been better on the ground, that's so important for these guys, because now, you don't really – you can make one call and everybody in the offensive lineman, everybody knows it. they know what to do. It's not going to be like, wait a minute, what does that mean? Do I have to think about, wait a minute, what does it mean? No, you have that guy that has been out there for the last, and you know the type of plays that they have been successful in. And I think Dable has done a great job of really using Singletary very well. Look, his numbers have surprised me at the end of the year. I mean, but when you look at their entire year, think if that offensive line was together for a number of games, he probably would have had over 1,000 yards. He probably would have had over 1,000 yards. So, hey, look, I love that this team is going to be at home. I think the running game is another thing for Bill Belichick and his defensive guys to think about now, because if you really look at the career of Josh Allen, and this stat was thrown on somebody, he hasn't played well here against the Patriots.
No.
He hasn't. He has not. And so now you don't want to get in that mindset of me being Josh, say, look, I got to do it all on my own. I haven't performed well here against the Patriots. So I don't want that. I want Josh to just be cool, play his own game, and let that running game kind of dictate of what's going to happen throughout the game, because it doesn't have to be on his shoulders the whole time.
I definitely see some Thurman Thomas and Devin Singletary. He's a smaller version of you, but holy cow. I mean, he runs with power. He's also very quick and elusive, and he can do it in the run and pass game. So I see a little bit of you and a littler version of you in him, which is good.
Well, the only thing that I would say about that is that he's probably had more energy than I did. I mean, every time he gets off the ground, he's jumping up. You know, I know we're running the no huddle, but I'm kind of catching my breath going back to the huddle, you know? So that's something that's totally different than what I did.
That's awesome. So 4 straight wins. I mean, the Bills have been stacking wins, which is really important at the end of the season, and the Patriots have gone backwards. They've lost 3 in a row. And, you know, the Bills have stacked those wins against really not good teams, against the Carolinas and the Atlantas and the Jets. And they've struggled offensively. Does that concern you at all? Or like we let's spin back to the very beginning of the interview, when you know you have that defense, doesn't need to be a concern because you know what the Bills offense eventually can be capable of.
I tell you what, these last 2 ball games against the Jets and the Atlanta Falcons, I mean, I was thinking in my mind, I'm thinking 40 or more points. If we get 40 or more points, that means our offense is clicking. Now, I think over time, we could have scored 40 points on both of those football teams, but I think Sean McDermott called the dogs off and Leslie Frazier called the dogs off. So, yeah, I do look at that as a factor, but I tell you what, overall, it's good either way in the National Football League, no matter who you play, to be on a roll. And I think they're at that point now where, you know what, you're starting to see Diggs get the ball a little bit more. And we were kind of like, hey, where has this been? And so now they're at a point where it might not be the 10-yard, the 15-yard routes now, but they're getting the cornerbacks to turn their hips to think that they're going up the field. And so he's been getting a lot of targets in the last couple of weeks. And yes, like you said, it hasn't been against very good football teams, but you have to have that. You have to have that. You have to have Dawson Knox. His game has to be turned up. I mean, I am really so excited about this freaking offense going forward, man, because you can just feel it. It only take one game, and one game to score like 45 points, and that should be this game against the Patriots, if they can do it. Now, sure. I know the Patriots defense is playing well, but, you know, they've lost 3 in a row. What is their mindset? You know, we won a couple in a row, and we were considered to be a Super Bowl contender at the beginning of the year, and now it's here, and let's get going.
Yeah, for sure. One last thing on the game, and I'll get you a quick prediction from you. Isaiah McKenzie in the last meeting was enormous, had a career game. They picked on a guy that just came off the bench, and Dable knew that. And it was pretty obvious, and they picked on him, and they had no answer for Isaiah McKenzie. And the Patriots this weekend are in the same boat. They got a practice squad guy that's coming up that's going to play in the slot, probably against McKenzie. I mean, again, you have to think that the Bills, in terms of their scheme and game plan, is, again, to take advantage of mismatches.
I mean, you have to take advantage of the mismatches when you're going against the New England Patriots because, you know, over the past 20 years, you know, they've pretty much been healthy throughout their entire run that they had. But now, in the last couple of years, you know what? Belichick would do that. He'll pick out the weakest link and go right at him. And I think that's what Dable is going to do. And but I think, you know, even though we missed Cole Beasley the second game, I mean, him being out on the football field will change it dramatically because him and Isaiah are different type of ball players. You know, but I would love to see McKenzie in that matchup again. I think it was number 41.
It was. Yes.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but his name was 41.
His name is forgettable if you're a Patriot fan. That's for sure.
Right. Yeah. So if he's out on that football field on the first series, yeah, you know what? He's shaking in his boots because we're coming right at you, buddy.
For sure. Okay, give me a score prediction. What do you think? I'm assuming. I think everybody thinks the Bills are going to win, but how big?
I think it'll be somewhat close at the beginning, and then we'll kind of pull away at the end. So, one of those days, man, where, hey, I'm looking, this is the playoffs. If I can put 35 on the Patriots, that sends a notice to a lot of people around in the AFC. And because their defense has been, pretty good this year. I mean, they've won some games with their defense. So, man, I'm thinking I'm going to go with, how about the Bills 34? Yeah, I got that. And the Patriots 12.
I got you by 1 point. You'll find out in the final segment of the show that my score prediction is 1 point different than yours. But that's awesome.
Oh, okay.
That's good though. That's good. And we see the Bills probably. I mean, all things point to another trip out to Kansas City. I don't think anybody thinks the Steelers are going to beat Kansas City in Kansas City. They got walloped there a couple of weeks ago. So, Thurman, great to see you, pal, man. And thanks again for doing this. We really appreciate you being part of the show. Go Bills. And hopefully after the wild card, there'll be a divisional and more that we'll keep cheering the team on for. Thanks again for doing this, man.
All right, man. Appreciate it, man. Go Bills.
Go Bills. There's Thurman Thomas on the Shack and First Down Buffalo pregame show. More coming up with the Huddle back at Sorrentino's right after this. Awesome, dude.
Good.
You are so good. Thank you.
I appreciate it, brother.
All right, we'll talk soon.
All right, see you.
Thanks, bro.